as has been told in his first movie, where the Earth began to experience a drought, as well as the wildfires that plagued the world, due to a disaster cataclysmic known as the solar crisis. Scientists predict that within the next 100 years, the Earth will be swallowed by the ever-expanding Sun. Even in the next 300 years, most likely the Sun will also, engulfing the entire solar system. Then from that, the governments of the world, they decided to unite formed a new union called. And from the negotiations, they agreed to build 10,000 torque engines, giant in parts of the world, with the purpose of pushing the Earth out of the solar system. And the project was originally named as Moving Mountain Project. However, due to the high cost of surgery that eat up resources very quickly, this triggered riots as well as protests massively from people who don't care about a tragedy that they haven't even protest. It got worse after. UAG prohibits digital life projects, or abbreviated as DLP. A project developed by a group of opposition scientists believe that the future of mankind is inside the computer. Whereas this DLP program allows someone to move thoughts or their memories into a data, which is then uploaded to the internet network. That way, people can live forever in a virtual world, without the need to feel any more pain, and died of disease and old age. And because resources are widely used by the USA to build a torque engine, project development in this LP was finally stopped, which then create a radical group of project supporters in LP. Then through terror attacks on various bases, USA that exist in different worlds. And even though the attacks, it doesn't make a significant impact, but the damage received is arguably quite severe. So, this has led some governments. USA members are starting to lose their trust, and then consider terminating the project. Mountain moving. However, the Chinese ambassador managed to convince everyone to continue this part first of the project, because it will help increase moral of society. First plan was to test drive an engine on the moon, because it's basically ultrasound also wants to keep the moon away from the Earth to release its gravitational pull. Many people who started training as astronauts to carry out this task, and one of them is Liu Beiqiang, a former pilot, Air Force, who at that time arrived at the base, which is being surrounded by protesters. In the riots there was one protester who intending to throw Molotov cocktails. Lucky, the attempt was successfully thwarted by a trainee woman named, which immediately made Liu very impressed. Even begin to imagine having a future with that woman. Next, the personnel undergo a test. Their first by riding a space elevator. Whereas this elevator is the tallest structure in the history of mankind that was built for fast walking to our construction site, as well as providing experience to the cadets about what it's like being in space. The elevator went up very quickly, and make the unaccustomed personnel began to experience nausea and fainting due to a very strong G-force pressure. What it always. From then on, all the cadets were preoccupied with various kinds of training, starting from hand-to-hand combat, use of firearms, as well as constant travel in the space elevator until they didn't pass out anymore. During that time anyway, relationship between Liu and Han Duo is also getting closer. Even, Liu also bribed a base guard, just so he can give a bucket of flowers to the Han Duo. Until one day, when a newly arrived group of reserve astronauts and come on board the space elevator ride, suddenly the base system had an error, and all the space elevators are going up very outside the schedule set. Inside the elevator by Liu myself, along with Han made surprised by some new cadets who wear uniforms with the same name, like their names. The three strange cadets then hack the elevator system and lock all personnel in their seats. Along with this, all the drones that are on base suddenly flies by itself and started shooting at the troops who was there. Even the pilots, fighters find it difficult to counter attacks because their missile systems detected that the drone, are allies. In the meantime, when cadets, foreigners who turned out to be hackers, started snatching some ID card personnel, including also belong to Han Duo, which they then use to gain access deeper into the system. It was later discovered that hackers, this is targeting a space ark, and plans to destroy it. After slipping out of his seat, Liu immediately took advantage of some tools, as well as his partner's glasses to damage the system and unlock the room. He then attempted to fight back when hackers and not let Han Duo to come help him. In the meantime, at the base, scientists brought a super quantum computer with artificial intelligence named 55C to help handle hacks inside of their system. At the same time, drones that are still active began releasing their missiles toward the outer elevator. The sky is running. Several fighter pilots performed the best course of action they could to attempt to dispel those missiles. But, unfortunately, there are still a few missiles that have escaped, which then destroyed lift number 9. Even due to the height limit that can be reached, the pilots weren't able to do much, other than just seeing a pair of missiles that is gliding to the other elevator. Lucky at the same time, 550C computer successfully retrieved the system and turned off all power on the drone, which then made the drone crash. The scientists also lowered back all the elevators right before the elevator hits the space station. On the way, Han Duo managed to break the glass to then assist Liu in dealing with the remaining members of hackers. And fortunately right before being rendered unconscious. Apparently the hacker succeeded first, pressing detonator, which in a short time made an outside station. Space explodes and falls to Earth. Liu immediately moved quickly to protect the Han Duo from the effects of the collision. As a result of the attack, rumored to be around 3,000 lives were lost, as well as more than 5,000 people were injured. And this attack was also judged to be the worst in history, due to the number of casualties as well as the impact of resource losses that was caused by the fall of the space station. Even now, 91 Americans started suing the US government to immediately return and give full permission to Project NLP. However, Chinese ambassadors still optimistic on Mountain Project and trying to convince the American ambassador that this project is the only big hope for the civilization of mankind, the next generation. A few weeks later, a number of crews were sent to the moon using tubes, Cyrus, to help finish the torque engines there. One of them was a computer engineer named Hang Yu. That was so awakened, he directly checked the super quantum computer, the next generation, which was named 5 blanks that he uses computer. It to interact with his daughter named Yaya, which is basically the Hang Yu princess. This is actually dead. Hang Yu uses intelligence technology on computers 5 blanks A to make video footage of his daughter. You can interact with him again. It was as if her daughter was still alive. It is also known that Hang Yu used to work on Project NLP, but after his daughter died, he decided to go inside the project this month, with the aim of gaining access of a more intelligent computer system, which is 550C. He thought he was able to use a 550C computer to make Yaya videos, can expand more widely, with a longer duration of interaction, or even make up the mind of his daughter who has died into an intelligence technology that's completely embedded inside that computer. During the process of working with other team members, Hang Yu realized that a researcher named Zalma have full access to Computer 55MTC. And lucky, Zalma too appoints Hang Yu as his assistant to help do the testing, first in the operation of the system on the moon. During the process, Zalma gave Hang Yu a copy of his mind's digital data that was previously seized by the company Project NLP officially shut down. Now the decision is in the hands of Hang Yu. whether he wants to destroy the data or just keep it. Until some time later, Zalma finally realized if Hangyu managed to make a video footage of his daughter into a real interaction video. Or at least, Hangyu has succeeded creating a data-driven intelligence mind, his own son who had died. This made Zalma very surprised and asked Hangyu to keep the technology a secret. It's from the public, because most likely, there will be no more people who have a desire to live in the world real once they know how the great temptation to live in a digital world. Conversation. It then made Hangyu begin to recall about how the day her son died. Hangyu was driving with his wife and also his son accidentally distract him. That made him unable to realize there is a truck coming from the side. His wife died on the spot. Yaya is still in critical condition and have a few more minutes to live. Then from that, Hangyu immediately took her to DLP for trying to move his daughter's consciousness. Originally, DLP organization did not want to help Hangyu because the technology is not ready. However, Zalma, who apparently used to work there too, choose to be willing to help by transferring its consciousness. It is into the computer 5508. Go back to the present. Hangyu then asked Zalma to give him permission, using Yaya's mind data into a computer 550C. But Zalma immediately opposed the idea and reminded Hangyu that computer gifting 558 is more than enough. At the same time, suddenly the system detects there is a solar storm approaching very quickly. This thing making the workers force the engines of their vehicles to move faster in order to get to the base in time. Unfortunately, even though everyone managed to survive, but the computer 550C become burnt because it didn't get moved. And because intelligence is needed to launch the project in the next 3 days, Hangyu then offers a computer 550 a hers to replace 550C. Computer plan. It will also be handed to the development teams to be a reference in developing a computer 5 empty next generation. And having no other options, Zalma agreed. But before that, Hangyu first moved Yaya's consciousness into a hard drive. 3 days later, teams began conducting trials to power the engines. First torque on the moon. And even if this moment becomes very stressful, but the hard work of the whole team finally paid off after seeing the moon begin to experience displacement angle, even with a fairly small impact. That success, indirectly, also made people around the world starting to go back to believing in this moving mountain project. The next few months, turn of torque engines on Earth to do his initial trial. All the screens go black, and people thought that this project had failed. But suddenly they felt the ground shake, and bright rays start to be seen coming from the astronaut base. Scientists in the USA confirmed that the Earth is experiencing an angular shift. And this makes people all over the world cheering happily, because soon, they would be able to move the Earth completely.